Broadcasting from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, to around the globe. You're listening to Shark Bite Biz, your exclusive place for business strategy, sales, marketing, and tech in the roaring 20s. And now, here's your host, David Strausser.
And you just arrived to the newest episode of Shark Bite Biz. I'm your glamorous host, David Strausser, and this is your place to learn how to grow a business during complete global chaos. We got some funny business going on today, literally. First though, remember, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can become a baby shark. For only $3 a month, you can join the channel. It's real easy. You hit the big red join button, you get some perks, and you help us grow. But if giving money through big tech isn't your thing, don't worry, we got you covered. You can also go to our coffee brand, deadhousecoffee.com. Use code SHARK. You'll get 20% off of your order. Plus, you're going to get the freshest coffee possible delivered to your doorstep. And did I mention it's zombie themed? Total win. Use code SHARK. Get 20% off and go to deadhousecoffee.com. Remember, all proceeds from the coffee directly help support us building the biggest and best show we possibly can. Now let's get back to today's show. We're going to chat on how to make your videos go viral, your ads go viral, not organically viral, but to get it out to potentially millions of people that can consume your products. And most importantly, they engage. They engage by watching your funny video and then clicking on through and making a purchase. Those who know me all know I love humor. I live by the phrase, if you can make them laugh, you can make them buy. I got to give credit to Jeffrey Gitomer for that quote, but even before I've heard it from him, I've always lived by that. I knew early on in my sales career, I made them laugh. They bought. Maybe there's a thing here. And it is true. Humor is a key to success. I know the key to getting a sale is by making them smile, laugh, whatever it may be. It gives them the warm and fuzzies. Today's guest specializes just in that, but on the other side of the spectrum, on the marketing side. So who do we have today? None other than Joseph Wilkins. Joseph Wilkins founded Pro Creative Studios almost 20 years ago, where his team produced infomercials, IV commercials, and corporate videos. Joseph has directed thousands of campaigns for clients, including Google, LinkedIn, McDonald's, Goldman Sachs, Chevrolet, Home Depot, and other mega brands. As habits shifted from television to online, Joseph launched FunnySalesVideoscom in 2017, where he creates attention-grabbing viral-style videos that entertain viewers into making an immediate purchase. With 2 decades experience, hundreds of millions of IV and online views, and hundreds of millions of dollars in tracked sales, Joseph has developed 8 simple steps any business can follow to boost its online sales. So hey, let's not delay. Let's find out the secret of FunnySalesVideos.com, and let's bring Mr. Wilkins right on in here.
Reach your customer.
Joseph, welcome to Shark Bite Biz. You, my friend, you just became shark bait.
What's up, David? Good to be on the show.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you here. And in fact, the very first question we asked every single guest on this show, I guess you could say it's our tradition. It's funny. I've been saying that it's a tradition on the show since like the 3rd episode, but it is a tradition on this show. I have to ask you, what's your background? What's your experience? Where you've been? What are you doing? Basically, tell us, what's the magic sauce that makes Joseph?
Oh gosh, that's an open question.
Oh yeah.
Well, I guess I'll give you a quick overview of my professional background. As you can probably hear,
yeah.
I'm from I'm from London. I grew up there. My dad was in the advertising industry. He was a fashion photographer. He even did the Queen of England's personal portraits. Doesn't get much higher than that. So,
Oh, yeah.
I kind of grew up in the
I
creative
assume
space.
Queen Elizabeth, right?
Yes.
I mean, she's been
yes.
around for like, what, 50, 60 years, something like that, right?
More than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Wow, that's
grew
amazing.
up. Yeah, I grew up in that space, moved out to America when I was 20, went to university here, studied graphic design. And when I got out of college, I went into that as my career. And that was kind of when video was starting to be supported online, right? Back in, I'm dating myself, but they said, hey, let's send the graphic designer off to learn how to do video.
Right.
And that's really how I started. I'm not professionally trained other than, my graphic design background. But I started out learning how to do corporate video. And then my very first big client that really helped me jump from my corporate job to start Pro Creative Studios, which I still run, but it's a side business, was the Little Giant Ladder infomercial.
Okay.
And that was a project that generated over $200 million in sales.
Wow.
Just blew my mind what a good ad. And now we were one of 3 production companies that produced that show. We were a very small part of it, but it gave me the taste of what a good video in front of the right audience can generate.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's amazing. And especially because you have the, graphic design background. It's funny how I guess back in the, I'll call them the early days, but like, you're talking 2000s ish that people figured, oh, well, if you're a graphic designer, so I guess that means you can produce a video too, right? It's kind of like they just lumped it all together. But as people of this show know, my son Francisco, who is the producer of Shark Bite Biz, 18, amazing kid. He's self-taught. We've been going back and forth. Should he get a graphic design degree in this day and age or not? And I'm like, dude, you're self-taught and you're producing a professional level podcast. Why do you want to spend $80,000 on something that you realistically already know? And I feel that field has kind of been diluted as time has gone on. 20 years ago, it'd be great, but studying it today, I think there's better options. So I just got to ask you a personal point, personal question. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I get asked that all the time. When I interview people that want to come work for me, the first thing I do is I say, show me your portfolio, show me your work, show me what you've done. And I can immediately tell the difference between a college project and a real life project that had budgets and timelines and clients. And there's a big difference. And so I always tell people, yes, education is good. Education is important. But if I have 2 candidates in front of me, one has a killer portfolio, didn't make it out of kindergarten, and another with a Harvard degree whose portfolio sucks, there's no question I'm going with the guy who has the experience rather than the books.
Yeah. That's exactly what I told him. I'm like, right now we have 115, 116 episodes published, and you can see the growth of the channel from the first couple episodes of just figuring it all out compared to right now where we have it down and he can produce this episode from start to finish, maybe less than 90 minutes because, if it's a 50-minute episodes, he's actually got to listen to it too for edits and cuts and stuff like that. So he's doing an amazing job. But I've pushed him. He's always been anti-business because I'm big in business. Like my father was in construction. So I was always anti-construction, I'm in business. So he was always anti-business, but I'm like, hey, just take general for your first semester, get used to it, explore some of these basic courses. And he started taking, like an intro to marketing course, which focused on social ads. And this is why I brought up the story because it goes into the viral ads that you're talking about. But he started with that and, he's only had a couple classes so far, but he's like, oh my God, it's amazing. This is incredible. And he thinks that this marketing exposure and learning that combined with what he already knows is going to help him reach his full potential.
Yeah. I mean, in the video production, it's a tangent, but I think it's an interesting one. In the video production world, video producers are kind of a starving artist. You typically don't make a ton of money making videos unless you really specialize, create your niche, create something that can't be commoditized, that the next guy can't do. And that's, we'll get to that, but that's really what I do, is I do stuff that traditional video production companies don't do. But anyway, after Little Giant Ladder, for the next 15 years, I built out a full service TV advertising agency. So our focus was on producing 30-minute infomercials, 2-minute short form infomercials, 60-second commercials, 30-second commercials, and then traditional website videos. And for 15 years, we did a ton of business. We were very, very busy. We worked for some of the biggest brands on the planet. I mean, we did.
Did you do ShamWow?
I did not do ShamWow. I don't have that feather in my cap. But yeah, we worked for Google, LinkedIn, Chevrolet, McDonald's, Goldman Sachs, Olive Garden. I mean, some of these huge brands.
That's an impressive portfolio right there.
Thank you. Yeah. And as a smaller agency, we kind of got clients that we probably shouldn't have as the size of the agency that we were. But, you fake it till you make it. And some of these companies just kind of liked our work. Back to my earlier point about your work is more important than your resume.
Yeah, and that's why I went down that. That's why I went down that tangent, because I knew ultimately once I got the story out, it kind of will wrap exactly into the topic we're having. More importantly, since I know he's the producer of the show, he's going to be hearing this exactly from you, so it helps me there too.
Awesome. So the problem is, after 15 years of being very successful, building out a decent sized boutique agency, our clients started calling saying, we are not getting the results that we used to. 15 years later, we either don't watch TV or we watch it very differently than we used to. I don't watch anything but live news and sports.
Pretty much the same.
I'm not through the channels.
I don't even watch live news. The only way I will watch live news is if there is something going on, something, whether it's like maybe a State of the Union address from the president or some other kind of crazy emergency. Like, I think the most I watched the news was probably, not the news, but live TV in general was probably last March and April, when COVID just starting to hit, and I'm watching it. And being that I run the East Coast, the Northeast and the East Coast for two different product lines, I'm watching as one by one, these governors get up there on their podiums, closing down their states. And I'm like, oh my God, there's another one. Like, my whole region was shut down. But outside of that, I really don't watch live TV at all, unless it's football.
And our production costs weren't going down, but their results were. And so they basically said, we got to stop advertising, or we got to figure out a better, smarter way to advertise. So that was about 5 years ago that we really had a what do we do moment. And that's when we really started to look at what agencies like the Harmon Brothers we're doing with these really funny viral style video ads. Now, a funny sidebar, up until that point, anytime a client would call us and say, we want to do a funny video, we would say, sorry, we don't do that. Because you've got to have the worst thing you can do is try to be funny, because you'll end up looking silly if you don't have the right team.
I see so many of those videos, even right now, just going through my Facebook feed, that the videos that you can tell they're trying to mimic the funny videos, like, oh, what is it, like Mr. Dr. Squatch or whatever, like that soap one with their really funny commercials, because that guy's got the personality to be perfect for that. And then you'll see a lot of imitators that are trying to pull it off, and it's like, this is just horrible. Like,
Yeah.
this is bad. Like, how can I give a thumbs down to this video?
Absolutely. And we'll talk in it. We'll get to the steps that I
Oh,
take
yeah.
every project through, and we'll talk about two biggies that you just hit on. But then we found out how much these kinds, to do it right. I'm not talking about the videos that you just mentioned, but to do it right, these videos cost, $500,000, $1 million, $2 million for these big viral hits that you've seen. And we basically said, let's create a team and let's try to do this at a fraction of the price that other agencies are doing it, so that we can offer it to the clients that we had, not our huge clients, but our everyday bread and butter clients. And
so you're talking like mom and pops or small businesses. I mean, that's exactly who our audience is. That's what I deal with. We deal with small business growth, and these people, they're looking, like, for example, with the cloud. The cloud allows people to get Fortune 50 technology at the fraction of a cost. And that is exactly what you're trying to do there with video, it sounds like.
Right. That was my challenge. So to give you a comparison, before I launched Funny Sales Videos about 4 years ago, our biggest video that we'd ever done that had gone online had, I think, 100,000 views, which we thought was pretty good at the time. Our very first project, once we assembled the team, and I'll talk about how we do that, and more importantly, how your listeners can do the same thing. Once we assembled the writing team and the other people that we needed on the bus to launch FunnySalesVideoscom, our very first campaign was a super niche audience, a product that was very unique, that didn't have these huge audiences that you can target on Facebook, but it reached 7 million views. Wow. More importantly, it generated over $500,000 of directly trackable revenue. And so we knew we were onto something. Fast forward to today, our biggest campaign is about to hit 90 million views. It'll probably be at 100 million views. I think that's 4 different videos, but the same campaign.
How many of those views came from you? Come on.
Oh, well, that's the big secret that we'll talk about in a moment, which is that you can't just throw out a video and expect that it's going to go organically viral. Right. But that video has generated so much revenue that same company, True Earth, if you go on our website, FunnySalesVideos.com, you'll see 2 or 3 different versions of their campaigns. But we haven't stopped producing 18 months later. They want more videos than we can churn out. So clearly it's working for them.
That's amazing.
And so that's basically what we do now. We've shut down all what we call straight boring videos. That's what Pro Creative Studios was about. We still have our studio that we rent out. We do projects here and there with that side of the business. But we're having too much fun and frankly making too much money for our clients doing the funny sales videos because they're so much more engaging.
Right. How long on average would you say most of your engaging funny videos are? Like, are they 15 to 45 seconds or
no? What? See, that's where this will blow most people away. Most Facebook and YouTube reps will say, make it 15 to 30 seconds. Well, that's if you don't have a creative bone in your body. People don't stop watching videos because they're too long. Netflix is still around showing 2-hour videos. They stop watching because they're boring. They stop watching because they're not relevant. They stop watching because they're offensive or just irrelevant to them. So our average video is about 3.5 minutes long. And the longer videos, we'll do a long version and a short version, and we'll A/B test them. The long videos, 80% of the time, will outperform the shorter videos. And there's all sorts of reasons that we can go into that.
Yeah, I was also told, I don't know if this is true or not, but our viewers know that our podcast, we have our own coffee. It's called deadhousecoffee.com, because you're a zombie in the morning till you drink your coffee and you get back to life. But anyways, when we made an ad for that coffee brand, we were always told, well, try to make it 40, 45 seconds, even a minute long, because with Google, or I guess YouTube, how it works, like if they're not watching it for a certain amount of time,
Yep.
you're not paying for that. And so you try to make it longer. So that way, when you're charged, it's probably because you're getting engagement of people that are actually really interested in what you have.
Yeah. So we don't just look at views. Obviously, our goal isn't to make a video that has millions of views. It's to get our clients to double, triple the return on their ad spend. So the big secret that I'll reveal now that's probably important to talk about out the gate is that these views, 90% or more of these views came from paid placement. So if you're a business and you're currently running advertising, which most businesses are, and you're currently breaking even or getting a 1.5 return on your ad spend, these kinds of videos, pretty much every time we've gone into a new client and they've said, yeah, we're running Facebook ads, or we're running Google or YouTube or Instagram ads, and we really, we're doing okay, but it's not killing it. When we replace their creative, their ad with ours, we've seen multiple times double, triple the results. Everything else is exactly the same. All we're changing is the creative.
And I want to just chime in right there real quick. Sorry. But you said that, so for example, with your 90 million view number, most of that is from paid engagement. And I think a lot of people out there in the small business world, they may think, well, you're paying for views. And that's where I try to stress and flip the table around. Right. Yes, you're kind of paying for views, but you're paying for people that are the exact fit to actually purchase your product to see that ad instead of some random billboard that who knows who will see it.
And you add to that, if you've gone through the process that we take every one of our videos through, it is the most streamlined, most effective sales message to hit the target and to convert that into a paying customer. Our goal is to take cold traffic 3 minutes later to pulling out their credit card and buying. And it happens. That's why awesome. Our clients come back to us over and over again for repeat business.
Now I'm wondering, how many times have I pulled out my credit cards for one of your ads? That'll be funny. So, you've hinted about this a few times, and I want to get into the beef of this, but I'll start the conversation off by saying, my viewers know my day job. I do ERP, which is back-end software, business management software for small to mid-sized businesses with SAP Business One and Sage Intacct. And with that, to me, a big part of that is the implementation methodology. When we talk with a customer, especially if they're going to spend, $500,000 with us, they want to know, well, who's going to implement this? What's your process? How does this look like? And then I usually break down, I have a 5-step process. I break it down. I give them the warm and fuzzies, and then they fall in love with us. And then all of a sudden they're signing a check and they're giving me the money. You have something that is similar with your video and your design process and stuff like that, to where you have 8 steps that you take every project through. And this is what helps you get predictable results, right?
Yes, that's the key. Because some people say, well, let's just make a viral video. Well, an truly organically viral video is like catching lightning in a bottle. Yes, you may be able to do it if you win the lottery, but can you do it again? Can you build a business around it? Can you pay your mortgage on it? Can you count on it time and time again? That's the difference. And let me just, before I dive into those 8 steps, which, by the way, is 8 steps that any of your listeners can use tomorrow and do it themselves. Okay. But I want to establish the goal before we begin on this quick journey.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
The goal, imagine if I was to say to you, I'm going to install in your office a vending machine. It's full of $100 bills. It never runs out, and it costs $20 to use the machine. How many times are you going to want to use that machine, David?
I would not leave that machine.
Exactly. That's
I
what
would be stationed right there.
Yes. And your listeners, when you say they get scared thinking about, well, I'm paying for views, that's like saying, I'm scared to put $20 in that machine because I might lose my $20. Now, obviously, nothing is a certainty, and I'm talking in generalities, but over the past 4 years, that's what we've done. We've created vending machines that when our clients put money into paid ads, that vending machine is such a well-oiled machine that they get a return back that's higher, in many cases, many times higher than what they put in. And so when our videos, and there's two halves to a successful campaign, and I can only speak to one half. That's the creative. What somebody needs, what our clients need in order to be successful is the creative, and then also the back end sales funnel to convert that click into a sale or into a lead or into a download or whatever the end goal is.
I think that's an important distinction there, because some companies could have the perfect marketing agency, ad agency, or whatever, and they're getting upset with that ad agency because they're not getting quote unquote results. But the reality is, like, hey, we're bringing you a ton of traffic to your website. Your website's broken. You know, there's
what are you
other
doing
issues
with that traffic?
Right. There's other issues in the sales process that is broken, that, you know, has nothing to do with how the marketing process is functioning. And I think that it's just important that I said that to kind of reiterate your fact that, you know, there are two pieces to that puzzle in order to have success.
Yeah. And we won't work with a company unless they've already got that, a really good team in-house that does that, or we'll refer them out to one of the partner agencies that we have experience working with in the past who knows how to do it. The other thing is you've got to make sure that you have enough inventory. We've had this problem many times when the campaign is launched and the client calls up and says, we've sold out. We have to shut off the ads, stop those $20 bills because we've run out.
You know, it's funny because I just said about how I work in ERP agencies. And when people ask me like, hey, who do you usually partner with to get leads and opportunities from, you know, that are outside of our regular marketing tree? I usually tell them, believe it or not, like I've had a lot of success with marketing companies. And they're like, marketing companies? Why? Well, because of the fact that oftentimes when you have a company that doesn't have the right software solution, okay, and they go in and they get this awesome marketing company that's blowing things up, they don't have the software to handle the amount of orders that are coming in, the inventory and stuff like that. And that's when somebody like you calls me up and you're like, hey, David, we need you to get a new system in play because this is costing me money because they can't fix their inventory system. So it's kind of crazy. That's something that I've witnessed, I got to say, 100+ times just over the past 3 years.
Yep. It's something that people overlook.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to download the free ebook that goes over these 8 steps, they can just go to FunnySalesVideos.com. But I'll really quickly run through the steps and maybe you can stop me or ask me if there's any questions that you want to talk about.
I would never do that.
So step 1 is marketing 101. Don't put pen to paper to write your script or do anything until you really feel like you understand who you're talking to. Imagine that you were to write a letter and then afterwards you walk down to the post office and you decide, who should I address this letter to? That sounds ridiculous, but that's what people do every day in marketing. They really don't think, who is the person I'm writing this to? What do they look like? What does their day look like? What are their problems? What are their, not just demographics, although that's important, but psychographics? What's the deeper pains that your problem solves that your customer has? And you want to speak to those.
You know, you've got to take that even a little step further there too, because then maybe you say you already know who your customer is, okay? like for me, I know exactly who my customers are for my day job, but what works for one set of my customers isn't going to work for the other set of my customers. So you have to decide, are you talking to a broad general audience, or are you
Yes.
talking to a specific group or a niche in that audience too, with the message that you're about to write?
You're absolutely right. Now, you'd be amazed at how many CEOs, marketing directors, founders I speak to, that after I take my team through the process of doing our discovery, because we never believe our clients. We want to go out and find out for ourselves who is the best person to respond to this video. And a lot of the time, we'll come back and present facts to our clients that completely redefines everything else that they're doing in their marketing. And the best thing that you can do is go out and find a way to ask your customers, what is it that you like? What is it that you don't like? What are the things that we could be doing better? And a huge source that a lot of companies aren't really using is anything that your customers have already written about you. Yeah. So let's say you're an e-commerce brand and you're selling on Amazon. If you're not reading monthly your customer reviews, you're out of touch with who your customer is. That's a huge source of information for gathering and creating a great customer avatar that will help you to write this script. A lot of the videos that we put out there, we get tens of thousands of comments, likes, shares, engagements. But the number one comment that we get that I really love is when people say, hey, that person in that video, that's just like me. That's my life. That's my problem. Or that's someone I want to be friends with. Because then we know we're connecting on a deeper level, because that person is actually saying the words that you've already written. You just don't know it.
And that goes exactly to what I was just saying a moment ago, as far as knowing even the subset of your audience that you're trying to speak to directly. Because if you make that connection, just like you and me talking right now, having this personal connection going on, you're kind of building a relationship with them in a way. So yes, I'm totally agreeing with you there. So
and you can't do that in 15 seconds.
No.
That's one of the keys to why these videos need to be a little bit longer. You need to create a relationship with the viewing audience. And that's what awesome. Our videos are designed to do.
So what would be the second step in your 8-step process?
Okay, the second step is brainstorm as many big level ideas. And this is the fun part, and the part that a lot of people get scared about. Well, if I'm going to do a funny sales video, the goal is to create something that your competitors aren't. You want to be disruptive. You want to be different. You want to stop the scroll. And the only way to do that these days, it's getting harder and harder, is to do something that's disruptive, whether that's shocking or funny or over the top, or you don't want to do offensive, because then you'll get flagged and your ad's just wasted its money producing itself because Facebook won't show it. But you've got to be out of the box. And so you want to come up with, we put a goal of 50 different brainstorm ideas before we even start to judge which one's the best. 50. Now, the criteria for a brainstorm is, who is the main character of this video and what is their problem? And there is no judgment. So you can throw out, my main character is a nun and she lives at the top of a hill and she, whatever. I mean, that's a really bad idea. But the more bad ideas you put out, the closer you get to a good idea.
A good idea. So, I hear a lot of small business owners saying to me in my head right now, multiple voices in my head, sorry, but I can filter them out though at times. But they're saying 50 for what we do and who we specialize. I mean, that seems like a lot. Does it have to be 50, or is less okay? Or do you think it needs to be 50?
So this is just the process that we go through.
Okay.
And if you want to get close to the kinds of results that we get, I recommend you follow what we do. If you don't. But here's the key. You're not trying to do this yourself. In fact, you shouldn't be. What you want to do is you need to, at least for these 8 steps, there's 2 steps that you should not that you should not try to do yourself. You should either outsource or have a team of people in-house that you know you can rely on who are creative thinkers. Now, they don't have to be comedians. We're not even talking about funny yet. They just have to be out-of-the-box thinkers. And the more people you bring into the brain share to bounce ideas,
you can
the
get
better.
50 easier.
Yeah, exactly. You get 5 people, they all get 10 ideas, you get them together, and then you start to judge. But you can't be critical until you've hit those, 50 or so ideas.
And so
then
does that mean that if I do 100, I'll get double the results?
Go ahead and report back and let me know how you did.
Okay, will do.
So again, you want unfiltered ideas. And then what we do is we distill it down to the 5 best. Okay. And then obviously we're an agency. We're going to present the best 5 ideas to the client. And between us, we pick the top one. Okay. And I can't tell you other than it just creates more buzz when you're talking about the top one. Now, you want to test it. And the more people you can test it on, the better. How do you test your best ideas? I don't know. You tell me, what does your business look like? Do you have a lot of employees? Do you have a group of customers that are in an inner circle that you can send an email to or invite to a meeting or create some kind of an online Zoom meeting like this? Think about how you can get your customer input, because the more your customer inputs, the more your real customers are going to react. So once you've distilled it down to your top idea, that's when the scripting starts. That's step 3, is actually writing the script. And we take our script through 3 phases. Phase 1 is the marketing copy. Okay, this is just bullet points. And we typically in a 3 to 4 minute video, we'll typically have time to hit 5 benefits. Now, benefit 1 is going to get mentioned maybe 5 times, and benefit 5 is only going to be mentioned 1. So it's a prioritized list. But most of the time, we'll hit about 5 benefits. So that could be, and you need to use your data that you gathered in step 1 to figure out, well, what do your customers think are the benefits? Because you may have started this company because you thought this widget would make your work better, but it's actually that your customers find that it makes it faster, or whatever it is. So then you want to look at, well, what are people saying that they don't like? Why would they not buy from me? And if it's a strong enough reason, and I typically use the 80-20 rule, if 80% of people think there's a strong enough reason, then you should mention it. If only 20% or less are mentioning it, don't bring it up.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. If there's like 80% of the reasons why people don't buy a product, but you have a strong rebuttal to that.
Yes,
I mean, that's kind of like defensive selling techniques. And like, for example, in our sales cycle, I know that depending what competitor we're against, they're going to plant some certain seeds against us to try to get an edge. And I am already addressing that early on. So that way it doesn't become a hurdle for us when that time comes. And that's essentially what you're doing there.
Yeah, because you're not there to hold their hand and get their credit card out. So any unresolved concern in their mind is going to be a stumbling block. So you've got to address them if they're big enough that they warrant that. So you got your marketing copy points, 5 benefits. I'm making this super simple. 5 benefits, 2 objections, maybe no more than that. Then you want to get to the script writing. So I will then bring in a copywriter, somebody who's very skilled at creative writing, not marketing copy. Now, sometimes that could be the same person. Typically, any video that you'll see on our website has been touched by at least 8 or 9 script writers. And I'll tell you what those are. So we'll bring in one person, just write the story. So we're taking the concept, so the hero character, what's the problem that they have? We're filtering through the marketing copy that we just talked about, and we're building a fully fleshed out story that has the goal of starting out with these principles. First, you got to hook their attention. That's the most important part of your video. The first 5 to 10 seconds is the most important, because if they don't watch past that, nothing else in the video matters. So
Exactly.
most of our creative juice is going to go to those first 5 to 10 seconds. That's when we're going to do something shocking or visually jarring or curiosity piquing. It doesn't have to be selling. That's not the point of the hook. The hook is simply to get their attention, stop scrolling, and turn the sound on. Because 80% of the people watching videos on their mobile devices have the sound off. So it's got to be visual.
Exactly. And even Facebook, a lot of times I notice, like, I'll stop scrolling at a video and I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. And, there's no audio whatsoever. And I'm still kind of like, oh, this, actually, I want to hear this. And I'm trying to turn up the volume. And then I'm like, oh, wait, actually, Facebook has it muted. I'm muting it on Facebook to be able to hear it.
Right.
So
that's why you have to tell stories with pictures. And again, that's where a great, video production company that understands how to do visual storytelling earns its money there.
Right.
So once you've got the hook, then you have to establish what's the problem that you're trying to solve in the video while being entertaining. So it's got to be relevant to, well, what is the problem that the viewer is experiencing? Now, it doesn't have to look exactly like that. In fact, the more fantastic and the more entertaining, the better. But don't stay off. Don't go so far that it becomes irrelevant.
Right.
So anyway, I'm scripting out using these things. So hook, problem, introduce your problem as the solution, and then ask them to buy it. I mean, there's more steps. Again, if you download the ebook, it will go through that. But once you've got a first draft script, that's when I bring my comedy writers in. Now, these are, again, people that are really good at what they do. Now, how do you find comedy writers? Well, have you ever been to a comedy club? You've probably seen a stand-up comedian who probably doesn't have a day job. What's he doing during the day? He's traveling to his next gig. So what would he love you to do? Approach him and say, hey, you want to earn some money on the side freelancing for me? And create this group of comedy writers who are very skilled, have a lot of experience. A lot of them do improv, and so they're very fast, very quick. And you send them your script, and you have multiple. I typically have at least 5 comedy writers taking my script and adding in jokes, funny lines, clever situations, things that the script writer wouldn't ever have imagined.
And you're not even using comedy writers per se. I mean, you're literally using comedians, it sounds like, for the most part.
I'm
that's
using
awesome.
both. I'm using both. So some of the writers that work for me work on cruise ships. They're comedians that fill a stadium on the cruise ships at night and are sitting on the beaches of St. John's during the day script writing for me. Others I find on sites like Fiverr or Upwork, and that's all they do is script writing, comedy script writing.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, like the guy that does the introduction for the show, I hired him off of Fiverr, and this is somebody that actually has done in his professional career, like radio for 30 years. He's done action movies. We were talking on the phone once and he gave me a list of like all the movie trailers that he's been in. And it's funny because people listen to the intro and they're like, hey, isn't that like the action movie guy? I'm like, yeah. And I got him for dirt cheap off of Fiverr because he's just trying to make extra cash.
Back to the starving artist. There are still lots of people out there that are very talented that need to fill up their time. And they appreciate it when people like us approach them and say, hey, here's a project.
And I found it to be surprisingly affordable too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Fiverr is one of the best things that has ever happened to our business. We use it. I mean, literally this logo here, I created on Fiverr.
Awesome.
Anyway,
Biz started that way too. So
yeah. So you've got your script and now you want to go back to testing it. Because a joke is only a good joke if the people that you want to laugh at it are laughing at it, or at least smiling at it.
All right. And
so you want to test it. You want to send your script to that brain share that we talked about of your best customers or people who are in the same age range and persona as your customers, and you want to test it. You want to make sure before you spend money producing it, the script is the most important part of your video. You're not going to fix a bad script with good acting. You're not going to fix a bad script with great lighting. You got to make sure that your script follows the steps that I outline in my free ebook before you go to the next step. So scripting, and then add in the comedy as step 4. Step 5 is the production. Now, you would think as a person who's run a video production company for 20 years that I would say the most important part of production is getting a great crew and the best cameras and the best lights. That is important, but not as important as casting. Now, let me talk just a bit about casting. Yep. You mentioned earlier the Dr. Squatch guy. He nailed that video because he's the right person for the job. You bring in a bad actor, you give them the same script as that same actor used, you don't have a video that's going to produce. So what I do is I make sure that I audition dozens and dozens and dozens of actors before I cast my lead role for each video that I produce. I probably go through, I look at about 100 actors. Then I'll contact the local agencies and I'll ask them to maybe audition 20 of them. Send me a video like we're doing right now. Just pull, these actors are used to doing this. And I just want to throw it out there. I am available nights and weekends. If you ever need a middle-aged white guy that's fluent in Spanish, right here. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
So a lot of people don't realize that is a free service that all actors, it's part of their gigs. They're used to it. For every 10 auditions they do, they'll get a booking. So they're used to this. So what your clients or your listeners can do is they can contact their local acting agency and do this exact same thing. They'll send them these auditions. Then what I do is I'll take about 20 of the auditions and I'll distill it down to my top 3 or 4. And then I'll set up a live Zoom like we're doing now, because I don't want to just see what they can do in the comfort of their own home when they can pick the best take. And you know, there's no stress because there's no one looking at them. I need to make sure they can perform under pressure. So I'm going to ask them to redo this. So you send them the script for them to audition. Then you tell them, okay, here's a different section of the script. We're going to do this live. And then you want to ask them, can you speed that up? Can you slow it down? Can you put the emphasis on this word? Can you make it feel sadder or more exciting, or bring it? You want to really make sure that they're going to be able to perform under pressure. And then we've picked the final actor. So I would say,
who picks the final actor though? Is the company trusting you for that, or does the company pick?
Great question. So typically I collaborate with my clients. So I won't bother them with the 20 auditions. I'll pick the top 3 or 4. Then I'll say to the client, okay, we're going to create a joint Zoom audition. You're welcome to join us and ask as many questions. And between us, when we've finished those auditions, we'll pick the winner. So it's very collaborative.
The winner. I love that. It's like it's a reality TV show.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So if I've done my job right, more than 50% of the work for the video is done. Picking the right actor will get you further than anything else with the right script. So those are the 2 things I mentioned you should not try to do yourself. Don't try to write your own script unless you're a professional. Don't try to act in your own video unless you're a professional. Now, a lot of people will say, well, wait, what about that Dollar Shave Club? He did his own ad and that went gangbusters. What a lot of people don't know, he was a trained improv comedian. He just happened to be a CEO of a company. So you'll get the occasional case where you'll get a CEO or a company spokesperson who's very good on camera. And that in that case, go for it. But in 99% of the cases, you don't want to try to be your own hero in these kinds of videos.
Or, if you're the face of the business, like one of the people that I think of, well, I guess probably shouldn't mention him now, but like before he got all crazy was like the My Pillow guy, where he was the face of the business. And now he's just all crazy and stuff like that. But before the craziness happened, I mean, he had a story to tell. It sounded authentic and it worked for his message.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying if you're the CEO of a company, you shouldn't go on video. I'm saying you shouldn't try to be a comedian. Totally different. Marketing is like a salad. You want all sorts of different ingredients or it's boring. So you want CEO messages, you want unboxing videos, you want customer testimonials. But this video that I'm talking about is your flagship top of funnel for those who understand the marketing funnel. That's the first impression that a lot of people will actually watch. Once they get interested in what the product is, then they want to know more information and they'll be able to watch those other videos to help sell them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. Now we are running short on time. How many more points do we have left?
I'll breeze through them. So the rest of production, obviously, the better the quality of the video, the better it's going to do, but you can do it yourself. Step 6 is editing. You want to speed things up. The worst thing you can do is have long pauses or boring parts or things that just don't feel right. A good editor, a good comedy editor will understand timing and can fix things that didn't quite work on the shoot in editing. Step 7 is go back to this every single time, is testing. Keep testing. We edit multiple versions of our video, and we'll test to see which one did best before we start to spend lots of $20 bills on the video. So we'll actually film 3 different opening hooks. The rest of the video is exactly the same, and we'll test with smaller budgets which hook works best before we spend a lot of money.
That's interesting. That's what my question was going to be, was, are you recording different videos or are they just different production cuts of the video that you're using? So
all of the above. That's
great.
Awesome. We also do different offers. So we'll test a buy one, get one free offer compared to a get $50 off compared to, a risk-free trial. So there's all sorts of things that you can test if you know what you're doing. And then step 8, again, we've already talked about this, forget going viral. Have a plan from the beginning that you want to create a repeatable business model. You want the security that it's going to be money in, money out, not, hey, let's spend all this money on a video and hope it goes viral.
Yeah.
So those are the 8 steps.
That's great. I love those 8 steps. They are amazing. And it's a great methodology that is, it's not simple, but it's simple from the high level. Like, it's not a super complex thing, but like, I think anybody is able to follow that. Like you could a regular cooking recipe. You've put it all together in a very easily digestible format.
Yep. That was the goal.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So I've got to ask you 2 questions here real quick. First one is, how can people digitally stalk you?
Well, the first thing is obviously go to Funny Sales Videos, waste some time on your coffee break or whatever, have a few laughs, but more importantly, buy my clients' products. But also, you can follow us on Instagram at Funny Sales Videos. That's one place. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. But if you connect, always make sure you put a message or else I'll ignore you because I get so many of those.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Messages are important. I've noticed that the amount of people sending me connection requests with actual messages now has increased immensely over the last 2-3 months. And the last thing is, you had mentioned a few times about your free ebook. Where can people find that exactly on your website?
Same place. It's right on our homepage. Just scroll down to the bottom of FunnySalesVideos.com. At the bottom, there's also a little form that you can fill out if you want to schedule a Zoom brainstorm with me where we can talk about some ideas for your video.
Okay. Hey, Joseph, this has been amazing. Have you had fun?
I've had fun. I always have fun.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Good to hear. Thank you so much for coming on here. I mean, you shared a ton of information that I think people are just going to love. And definitely, I'd love to get you back here sometime next year and kind of talk about how the market is changing, maybe post-COVID, if we're post-COVID next year.
Oh, yeah. That is a huge another topic about how much online sales has exploded since COVID.
Right.
I hate to say it, but it was the best thing that has ever happened to our business. We've never been so busy.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And that's why once COVID officially ends, if it ever does officially end, I'd like to have you back on so that you can kind of talk about what the new normal is in that time period, and what new things companies are doing with viral videos now that maybe they're not shopping as much online as they are now. I mean, it'll be fun to see how things play out.
Let's see. I don't see it changing too much, but yeah.
Hey, thank you so much again, and best of luck to you and your FunnySalesVideos.com.
Thanks, David.
Yep. Cheers. Wow, that was an incredible interview, and I've got to say, I'm a sucker for British accents. I love the accent. It just kind of pulls me in every time I have somebody with that London accent, that Aussie accent. You know what I mean? I don't know. I guess it's just an American thing. Americans love British accents, I think. Is that a stereotype? I have no idea. But anyways, if you loved Joseph's accent just as much as I did, do us a favor, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. But if you really want to help us out, okay, share this out to your network, okay? Get this out to your friends, your colleagues, your coworkers, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitters, wherever you dwell on the interwebs. By sharing this video out, you're going to help others grow personally, grow professionally, and probably even help them grow their business. I'd love to see nothing more than FunnySalesVideos.com, Joseph Wilkins, and SharkBite out there trending. So now let's get back to our funny man guest, Joseph, okay? Because he had some awesome points. To me, humor has always been a big part of who I am. I will say what other people won't. A lot of times people might be thinking about it, and I'll say it, and people may cringe, but they're going to laugh too. I'm anti-corporate stiffness. I look for the icebreakers, and I look for ways to make people laugh. This is a critical part of my sales cycle. I think it's a critical part of this show. How I do the opening, like, hey, you're glamorous host or you're rock star host, or whatever I put in there to describe me, that's me doing humor so that you all think like, who is this guy? I love humor. And if I can't make you laugh and it's all stiff and seriousness, chances are that sales cycle is going to be an uphill battle for me. Doesn't mean I can't win. I always win. Just means that my humor is my number one ingredient that I use to build rapport and construct personal relationships with my prospects, with my clients, with my team members, with my bosses, with my family, with everybody around me. It also makes my life so much easier because if they like me, then when things are rough, they're going to be a little bit easier on me during that rough patch. Humor is the key to success in so many different areas of life. It's unbelievable. Now let's focus on what Joseph is doing. He's doing the same thing that I just laid out on the sales side of stuff, but instead of being on the direct sales, he's doing that on the marketing side. Now, it does link together, and he does have millions and millions of trackable revenue that he can produce, but that's only because Joseph produced content, and his team, I must say, produced content that drew those people in on the first place. I think if Joseph and me work together, he brings me the leads, I sell the leads, chances are we'd be making millions in a few months. Okay, maybe that's a little optimistic, but I think it's pretty sound because he has a history of delivering for his customers. What I think gives Joseph and his team at FunnySalesVideos.com real credibility is that he does have an 8-step process that's developed, and they are touting it every second he could. You saw that during the interview. He snuck that in there about 50 times. Now, that's very similar to what I do with my day job at Vision 33, where we have a 5-step implementation process. So with me, you buy software we take you through 5 steps of implementation, okay? And what Joe's doing is he's got the same type of process, but it's for these funny sales videos that he's creating and that he's ultimately selling. So it really comes down to Joe has a tried, tested, and true methodology that he's able to repeat to get success after success. I also just want to quickly reiterate, I mean, you really only have 3 to 5 seconds to snag a person before they pass your video. Look at the Dr. Squat Soap guy. He gets it. They reel you in that first 3 to 5 seconds, even if your phone is on mute. It draws interest. Look at why so many people watch those videos and also remember what Joseph meant by the word viral, okay? Millions of views by paid traffic is not a bad thing. That's a misconception. These are very highly targeted people that can potentially purchase your products. It's just not out there going to whatever person, might have seen it just by accident. It's highly targeted. Obviously, organic is better because it's free, but organic is not usually targeted. But if it's paid and it's part of an overall marketing plan, that combined with your call to action and sales machine should give you an easy ROI. Thanks, Joseph, for coming on the show. I really enjoyed our conversation. Remember, if you didn't hear it the 500 times he mentioned it during the podcast interview, you can get his ebooks on the 8-step process of how to create funny sales videos for free at FunnySalesVideoscom. Question of the day. Do you agree that the first 3 to 5 seconds of a video is where you decide to watch or pass? Leave a comment down below on YouTube. Remember, do you want to be on the show? If so, shoot out an email. Interviews at sharkbitebiz.com. We are currently booking for season 4 for next spring. I want to get as many viewers on as possible. So send it now, get on the waiting list. We will get you on guaranteed. Please also don't forget, join the channel on YouTube. It's $3 a month to become a baby shark. Or you can head on over to deadhousecoffee.com. Use code SHARK, get 20% off your purchase. And remember, you're helping us build a bigger and better channel. Y'all know this by now, but I'm David Strausser. This is Shark Bite Biz. We'll see you all next episode. Ciao.
Thank you for listening to Shark Bite Biz. We hope you got some insightful info from this podcast. Be sure to subscribe to us through your favorite podcast app and visit us on the web at www.sharkbitebiz.com. How has business changed for you in the 20s? Email us at podcast@sharkbitebiz.com so you can join us and share your story.